Hey everyone, welcome out to episode 141 of a Nerd Named Mark podcast. Sorry for the delay dealing with some issues. Full transparency. I have a ruptured eardrum in my left ear. I didn't think it was ruptured at first. Like I was, getting a little pain in there and losing a little bit of hearing, and I was like, oh man, with this weather change, I've had a cold. Maybe I had a sinus infection that kind of like morphed into maybe like an ear infection or something like that. But I haven't had an ear infection since I was like a kid. So my other option was, oh, maybe it's a blockage, But then, because I'm in that vast majority of people who use Q-tips to clean their ears. I know bad, but I don't do it like frequently. So my ear was hurting. And then I noticed when I was like, I put a little water on a Q-tip just to go on the outside and not much, and I noticed there was like dried up blood. So like, well, that's never good. So, you know, I go in, there's a blockage, and lo and behold, basically ruptured eardrum. So I was like, no infection though, which is good. I just had to be careful. Those take a while because if you don't need like the surgery or like the patch to fix it, those take a while to heal, like a long ass time. Like honestly, without any like needing any sort of procedures done in this that these can take a couple weeks to heal. It will work and everything else. I was like, I didn't do a podcast last week. And the worst part about all this is when I first started like having the pain and everything, me and my lady went to a concert, which obviously did not help the situation. But it was one of those things where it's like it was the Spill Canvas. They were doing a 15th anniversary for their album tour, and I was like, well, obviously we're gonna go, and I wasn't gonna back out of it. Um, I have some regrets about that. The pain is definitely like I'm still in a good amount of pain. It sucks. It really does, especially because when I'm working and doing other stuff, I use the AirPod like earbuds, and can't do that. So yeah, so that's basically why there's been a delay and stuff. And then on top of it, I've been trying to like power through doing other content on my YouTube channel, and that's been uh taking a lot out of me, just from the standpoint of it hurts. It does. Like even right now, like there's some pain, and anyone knows me knows, I don't do painkillers or put any of that type of stuff into my body. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, I deal with the pain. I have a very high pain tolerance, anyways, in general. But it's one of those things where I'm like, you know what? I don't put painkillers. I don't do any overly high end medication. The only thing I take is I'll take like a Tylenol, a regular like ibuprofen, and allergy medicine. That's it. Other than that, no prescription stuff enters into my body. It's just my choice. It's just how I am. It's my personality. Like I one day I'll go over the history of that stuff. But like for me right now, I keep as much. I mean, yeah, I vape, but I take a lot. I don't put a lot of negative, like overly produced manufactured medications into my system. But yeah, it's it sucks so much. But here I am. Here we are. I noticed. So I use Anchor, full transparency, to host my podcast and everything else. And literally, like this whole like now it's like Spotify for podcasts, this and that. And I got new analytics, and I have been sleeping on promoting the podcast on Spotify because I saw how many followers I have on Spotify and I see a better breakdown of everything. Yes, a lot of you are still listening to the podcast on either a web based browser, uh, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts now, I believe it's called. But it is available on Amazon Music and also on Spotify. If you're using a Spotify, like I noticed all this new integration. I could do a lot of cool things with Spotify now for Spotify listeners. I can do Q&As on there. I can leave polls and you could submit questions and this and that. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So for those of you who are listening, go follow the podcast on Spotify. Listen on there if you're listening from an audio standpoint. Because I want to try and like test out some of this integration into Spotify with this like interaction between listenership and the podcast because some of it sounds really cool. So if you are listening on a platform and it's not Spotify, you wanna hop on over and check it out on Spotify, um, because I really want to try some of that stuff out. Um, I have literally nothing planned for this episode. I don't. I was actually contemplating not doing one this week, but I was like, no, I just took a month off. I did 2 podcasts and I took a week off, and I was like, no, I can't do it again. I have to do one. I have to power through it, and so I want to talk about some games. I want to talk about manga I've been reading. Yes, I'm in this normal setup for those of you watching on YouTube. I'm not doing my normal video style where I'm over there. Um, I will, starting next week with the newer episodes. Just I've been organizing my shelves again and rearranging some stuff. My desk is a mess right now. It is ridiculous. There's manga everywhere. I have other videos I gotta, record. I've got figures on the shelves. Like we've also been remodeling some stuff over there in the apartment. So it's like, man, a lot going on. And I swear, okay, when I talk because of my ear, I can like hear like my voice differently. I don't know how to explain it. It's awkward, but kind of funny. Um, so, man, manga. I have been reading so much manga lately. It's becoming a problem. I have to still record and edit my February haul video, just because uh, I haven't done it yet, and I did get a lot in February, even though it was a short month. And also, uh, I forgot. So I haven't done episodes since my birthday was last week. Was it last week or the week before? It was the 28th. Um, so last week. Uh, I'm old. I'm 37 now. It's kind of weird because I have friends that are I grew up with that were all nerds, and I'm friends, and like I also have friends on like Discord and Twitter and this and that who are younger, not like underage, but like in their mid 20s or early 30s, and I didn't realize like aging myself out of things. Not like aging myself, but like revealing how old I really am when like people are talking about, oh, it's the 20th anniversary of this or the 30th anniversary of that. And it's like, I remember that when I was a kid because we have the Power Rangers Once and Future coming out on Netflix, I believe next month or so. And that's for the 30th anniversary of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And I was like, and everyone's like, oh man, this will be cool to see what they're doing 30 years later. And some people are like, oh man, I was watching that show for like the first time like 10 years ago, this, that. And I'm sitting in my head, I'm like, I was in first grade when that show came out. And I'm like, damn, am I that old? Like, really? I was like, wow. You don't realize how old you are until you start seeing anniversaries of things you like coming up. Like and what really set out the first time was the Jurassic Park anniversary when they were doing the Blu-rays of that. And I was like, man, it's been that long? Like, wow. I was like, okay. And now I'm just like, it just blows my mind because sometimes I don't like. There are days when all the injuries I've had and surgeries from like being an athlete and getting injured and stuff like that, where I'm just like I feel it. But then there's certain days where I don't even, where I'm just like, am I really 37? Like I don't feel 37 physically, like mentally. Like I'm an adult, but like how do you feel 37 mentally? Like I feel like there's like certain ages that are milestones for how you feel, and then after that, it's just you're old, And I'm at the point where I'm just old, and it's it's. I find it funny because I was talking to our friends, and I'm just like, we're both 37. I'm like, man, like we are like, how do like when did we get here? When like the conversation comes that like my 20th high school anniversary like reunion is next year, and I was like the like really I was like I didn't even realize it. It's been that long. Like I remember a lot of stuff from high school. Like and I'm just like it was that like it's time is so intriguing. But you don't want to hear old man Mark like go down the nostalgia path. Let's talk about manga. So I bought in a lot, and if you want to see everything I've bought in, uh is it bought in? Everything I've not just everything I bought. Uh, I'm gonna be doing my video soon for that. That'll probably go up early next week. I'm going to also I have some reviews going up for the YouTubers, those of you on YouTube who are watching this on YouTube, thank you guys so much. I just realized I passed I think a 915 subscribers on the channel. Like you're making my goal for the year was just hit like 1,200, and we're in March and we're making good headway to hit 1,000 and already, and I'm just like we're not even 3 full months into the year. I appreciate everyone who's been checking everything out, whether it's the podcast, my toku reviews, my toy reviews, my manga reviews, like my toy announcements, like all that stuff. Like if you've been checking any of that stuff, like I thank you guys so much. I know my channel is kind of all over the place, but like I said from the get go, my channel is an extension of this podcast. So the things I will talk about on here will be on there, whether it's manga, comic books, not so much. And I think at one point, I think I may even dabble in that, like in this episode, on why I actually don't review comics as much anymore, and why I just I did I don't know. I don't I like talking about comics and manga. I don't like talking about comics on YouTube, and I will get into that. But I want to go over some stuff I'm actually reading right now. So, a little mishap happened last month. There's a manga that I read digitally that I fell in love with called Turning the Tables on the Seatmate Killer. It's like a little rom com, little jokey, teasy, hazing, between a boy and a girl. And I was like, man, I want a physical copy of this. I want a physical, like, I'm reading it digitally. And there's certain manga will only read digital because there's so many volumes. Something like a One Piece or a Naruto, like those, or even My Hero, like that. I don't have space to get a complete run of those. So I will gladly read those digitally. Now, this one, I was like, no, it's so good. There's certain ones when they're good, I need them. So I thought I ordered volume one. Now it said on Amazon manga. Like, look at this art. Like that cover is so nice. Like that's like it is. It's just it's wholesome. Okay, but then I get it, and it's a light novel. Okay. Now, if anyone knows me, and I don't do light novels. I don't. I buy books. I read regular books from novels and this and that, but I'm more of an audiobook person. I love Audible. Not a plug, not an ad. I have been uh, subscribed to Audible like 6, 7 years now. Every month, like I love Audible. Okay, now light novels, I don't mess with them. Okay, that's not my thing. That's not my cup of tea. That's not what I'm into for my manga. I'm already into anime and manga. Light novels are their own thing. They stay over there. Like I don't dabble in them. Tell me how I read this light novel in 2 days. Okay, and I was like, you know what? I may get the second light novel. I the I guess the manga itself doesn't have a physical um release. And the company, I haven't even heard of this company before. It's like Tentai Books. Never heard of them before from a publisher. Like, I know like Viz, I know Yen Press, Kodansha, this, that. Like, Square Enix even. I don't know who that Tentai Books are. But I will say, I'm getting the second volume of that whenever it's out. I don't even know if it's out yet because I was like hooked. And I was sitting there reading it and I'm like, I don't do light novels, but this is so darn good. And there's been so yeah, that's just a sidebar. But like the things I've been reading, I just finished volume one of Lazy Dungeon Master, which I'm gonna review. The second volume of Don the Don, I reread it because I didn't get to have time to review it, and I was like, to do my review yet. So I was like, oh, let me reread it to refresh myself on it. Um, I've been going on like an exorcist kick lately, and spirits and stuff like that, and like yokai and stuff like. And so there's a lot of those I've been reading lately. Another one I got was the Ayakashi Triangle, which is it basically just says a hilarious sexy tale of ninja exorcists, and I'm like, sexy ninja exorcists? That's intriguing. That's right up my alley because I like the fan service manga. Okay, like okay, no judgment, but that's what I like. And also like other stuff like The Detective Is Already Dead. I finally caved in and got the first volume of that and started reading that. Oh, my! If those of you watching, I finally got some of the Yu-Gi-Oh manga. I went with the omnibuses just to save space. Things like Go Go Loser Ranger Volume 3 dropped a couple weeks ago, which I reviewed. Like I'm just reading a lot of manga. Another one, another detective one is Momo, the Blood Taker. Really into like the vampire stuff too. Like I finally got most of the Call of the Night manga because they got restocked at Barnes and Noble. And then I actually like wholesome stuff too because I finally just finished volume one of The Girl I Like Forgot Her Glasses. I just ordered volumes one and two this past week, so I just read the first one, which I'm gonna review, and I was like, yeah, and um, so my friends were saying, if I to review manga, I should just revive the A Nerd Named Mark reviews um RSS feed because I haven't really used it because I haven't really been reviewing anything like movies and stuff like that. And I was like, maybe I will. I don't see it as I was over ambitious with starting a second RSS feed. It was just I had time to do it and I enjoyed it. I do enjoy reviewing things, but it's also a thing where it's like recording a video, editing audio, this and that. It's like, okay, I gotta make a video, then turn it into audio. Like, and I don't just rip the audio from the video and then be like, ta-da, it's done. I'm mixing it down. I'm, editing. I'm making it more audio version, taking out stuff where I'm like, now take a look at this, like things like that. I cut out of audio versions because it wouldn't make any sense if you're listening. Like, and now take a look at this clip, and then you don't, and then it's like silence for like 30 seconds. Like, I take all that stuff out because it doesn't appeal to me when I know podcasts that do that, and I'm just like, yo, you could cut this out, that, right? But that's just a few of the manga I'm reading right now. Games, dude, I'm still balls deep in Fire Emblem Engage. Um, Hogwarts Legacy on the PS5. My lady's been playing it like crazy. I've been playing it too. It's intriguing as someone who someone who doesn't really play a lot of games outside of like Mario Party and Mario Kart and like Just Dance, like to see how in like just engulfed and like just in that world she is, and it's really cool as an outsider to see that because you know I all my most of my friends play video games, this and that we talk about video games, so, but it's one thing to see someone who doesn't go that deep into gaming to get sucked into this world building and characters and everything else. And I'm like, I wonder if that's what I look like every time I get like a new JRPG or this and that, where I'm just like, this is the greatest. I'm like, and it's just great. It's great to witness. Like, I'm like, ah, oh, that's awesome. Uh, but that's really for games. I still play like the mobile games like W Super Card, Marvel Snap, but I've been toning it down with Marvel Snap, but it's so pick up and play friendly that like it's so easy. Like it's kind of tough to just like quit it. I don't spend any money in it though, so that's a plus. I'm not a whale. I'm not doing gotcha games anymore. I like that's just that I'm done with that phase. I can't. After that whole like My Hero one that came out, like the world's whatever, like I was like, nope, can't, not doing it anymore. Like that's too much money. Too much money. Um, then from a media standpoint, like movies and TV show stuff, dude, not much, dude. I'm watching my Toku. I just about finished watching Summertime Rendering. That anime is great. I have the box set mangas. I read those and I was waiting, and I was like, uh, Disney has the rights to it, and I was like, man, that's not going to get put on Disney Plus. It's available in all these other countries. I'm like, why doesn't the US have it? This is stupid. And then Hulu was like, hey, it's on there now. And I'm like, oh, great. That's what I'm watching. So I've been binging that. In my normal murder documentaries and, unsolved mystery stuff and things like that. Because those are always good things to have on in the background while I'm like reading or editing videos. Uh, it's not something that I need to be like fully attentive and stare at the screen for, which I like. I like to be able to watch stuff that I can watch while multitasking because I find it very hard to just sit and just watch something unless it's a movie or show I'm really into. But I try and multitask because I only have so much time in the day. I work full time and everything else, so it's like I can't be, it doesn't work for me. Uh, whew, but yeah, that's really it that's going on. But I did mention the comic book thing, and I do want to talk about this. Um, and I was gonna do it as like a video, but I might as well talk about it here. So, comic books are always tough to review, and unless you stick to like certain ones, if you're like, I'm only gonna review, say, Power Rangers every month when an issue drops, or you wait for a trade, and if you review a trade, it's kind of too late because it's all those issues combined. For me, it's a timing thing because I don't even get my comics when they release. I have a pull list at my local comic book shop, as I've always talked about. They hold them for me. I don't go every week because there's some weeks where it's like one or two comics. There's weeks where it's like four or five, and honestly, I don't have that. There's nothing I'm really reading where I have that sense of urgency where I'm like, I need to read it right now. Um, I've really gone really casual with my comic book pulling, my comic book reading. I'm still pulling Power Rangers from Boom. I mean, let's face it, I've been pulling that since 2015 with issue 0. I'm all in on that. Um, I'm pulling, everything from the Massiverse, whether it's Radiant Black, Rogue Sun, The Dead Lucky, Radiant Pink, stuff, Radiant Red, like stuff like that. Like I'm pulling all those, it's in Inferno Girl Red, which are like some of them are 5 issues, 3 issues, but like Radiant Black and Rogue Sun and Dead Lucky, those are the ongoings. I'm pulling those constant, like obviously because they're great, and I love the Massiverse so much. If you saw my episode that I did before where I went over part 1, I am working on planning out part 2, which will probably be dropping. Before the end of March. That's gonna part the next part of that one's gonna be. I think I might do one a month, just because there's so much to cover. And the last episode that I did about it for part 1 was kind of like my introduction to it, and going over like the characters without too many spoilers. Now part 2 will be more spoiler heavy and deep diving into the characters in the first real arc after volume 1 of Radiant Black. I'm still pulling things like Little Monsters. I stopped pulling, a lot of the major hitter like Hulk and Thor and X-Men. So I'm not really pulling a lot. I'm pulling a lot of Boom and Image. I I stopped Miles Morales Spider-Man at the end of the last run because they just rebooted it again, or doing a new one with a number 1, and I was like, I'm kind of over that. But then again, there's a lot of stuff I'm trade waiting for as well. Like that's something I've brought up constantly in the past, is trade waiting. One, it saves money. Two, if you're not worried about spoilers and this that, you can also buy comics digitally and read them digitally, honestly. But I trade wait a lot now. It's the smarter alternative, so I don't have to spend a lot of money. Oh, sorry, my ear is killing me. Um, but yeah, so and from a reviewing standpoint too, I don't want to just like review comics all the time, because the word, like, and I've noticed this with movie reviews and TV shows and doing my Toku reviews. Toku, because it's more niche, so not as much. But when you review comics, you're gonna get two sides of the coin. You're gonna get the people who like it and want to agree with it. Then you're gonna get the people who think like everything coming out of Marvel and DC is trash, and it's woke and identity politics and all sort of stuff. And it's like, bro, it's all fiction. Okay, I get some of the stuff is not good writing. Okay, I get it. Some of the stuff is not written good, but I'm not, all these keywords and these buzzwords that are used to like shit on comics, mainstream comics, man. And mainly it's just Marvel and DC, honestly. I don't see anyone, bringing up stuff Image is doing, or Boom, or Alternia Comics. Like, I don't see anyone bringing up any of the other companies. It's always Marvel and DC, you know. Stuff is dead on arrival. Stuff, like, they're losing money. They're gonna sell. They're gonna cancel this run. It's like, but it's always people who don't currently read comics, and have stuff out of context, and it's just like it's a whole side that's just I don't even want to deal with. And there are great YouTubers out there who cover comics. Rollover Queen, who I've been on one or two live streams with, his channel's great. You want to get some knowledge on DC and the sales and stuff behind the comics, go check out his channel. He's killing it and doing what I could never do, because one, I don't have the attentive nature, and two, he reads a lot of comics. I don't anymore. Like, if you want to talk 90s comics, early 2000s, up until like 5-6 years ago, I'm good. But I'm not that knowledgeable. His knowledge is very vast, especially when he understands the sales of things and where runs are going. And yeah, so that's someone you should check out. I not so much comics. Just I'm now the route of I am a casual comic book reader now. I don't I don't even collect key issues just to have key issues. Like I'm done with that. Like, and I mean, I have the key issues I want because I never would just pick up a key issue just because it's a key issue. It has to be something I care about. It has to be like a Spider Man or a Green Lantern, a Batman. Even though I'm not the biggest Batman fan, like overall everything, but like I do think some of my favorite runs and my favorite trades and this and that I have are Batman related. I still think The Long Halloween is one of my favorite Batman stories I've ever read, along with Hush. Um, and there are certain ones that I think were kind of overrated that I'm not going to talk about because I don't need that flack. Um, but yeah, so there's certain I'll have get key issues and stuff for characters I like, but now I'm just trade waiting, and the trades I'm getting are just like for fun that I want to just read, not anything where I'm like die hard like getting it day one. Except for the Radiant Black Massiver stuff, I'm getting those trades just because I don't want to keep ruining my comics rereading them because I have all of the Radiant Black. I have all the Massiverse comics and a few variants, so I'm like, I want to keep those nice and pristine. I don't want to keep ruining those. So yeah, the comic book thing, I just don't have it in me, honestly, to review comics. It sucks, but I like reviewing manga. Anime I tried, but I can't I don't get to watch stuff in a timely manner, which is why I stopped reviewing anime also. I thought of for things that I don't watch as they air, doing more of like an editorial style video essay going over the stuff instead of being like, here's episode one review, be like, oh man, I checked out this. Here's what I thought about it, and then just go over like the season as a whole after it's done, which could work. It's still something I'm working out the kinks on. Um, but yeah, I don't want to cut the episode. I don't want to make it a short episode, but like I said before, I don't like dragging out my episodes. Anyways, I'm literally I gotta put eardrops in. I feel like when I had like a dog or a pet and they had like ear mites or something, I do like the drops. Like, oh no, my ear hurts. I gotta go do my eardrops now. Oh no. But yeah, I'm in pain. It sucks so much. It sucks. Oh, you have no idea. Or if you've had a ruptured eardrum, you would know. But yeah, I'm gonna end it at that. Like I said, dude, if you are listening to this podcast, go check it out on Spotify. Or if you're even watching this on YouTube and you have Spotify, just go follow the podcast. Even following it, even if you don't listen, helps stay in like the algorithm for it on Spotify. So yeah, hopefully all of you who are listening on the other platforms, and I see you, there's a lot of you, and I appreciate you if you want to stay on those. Obviously, you still can. I'm not forcing your hand. But if you do want to check it out on Spotify, please do so. I would appreciate it greatly. And then you could, see any of the updates I make, because I'm going to try and do some of the polls and Q&A stuff on there probably in another month or so. I'm going to give it like a month to see the numbers go up over there. Because I was like, oh, I'm in the decent double digits. I was like, not too shabby. Okay, okay. Because I've never saw that analytic before until today, actually. Um, but yeah, this has been episode 141 of our Nerding Mark podcast. Next week's episode is going to be good. It's going to be good. And also, we're on the road to WrestleMania. So I got some wrestling related episodes coming up because I'm going to talk about WrestleMania. I have every year for the last 2-3 years now on the podcast. Definitely going to be talking about WrestleMania. I am hyped. And yeah, I thank you guys for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. I'm I'm approaching, my next goal, which is 1,000 subscribers. Yeah, I'm excited and I'm appreciative of everyone who's been checking out my channel, checking out the podcast. Ooh, before I go, merch. Merch is happening. I just got approved for the Fourth Wall account. And I got some of my designs finally sent over. Was looking at those, started setting them up with a good 300 DPI, getting them all nice and clean and crisp looking. I already put them on, though they're not live yet for you to see, but I got them there. I'm gonna order 2 test samples of some stuff. I want to see them in person before I in, in case I need to make any changes for the quality. So I'm hoping beginning of April launching the merch. The first collection will be dropping then. I'm already got the second collection working on. I don't think I'm gonna do it as a limited collection where it's like only order for this month because I don't like the idea of like forcing people to be like, well, I got to spend the money. I don't want to miss out. It's one of those things where like, I want it available all the time. That's one thing with merch. I always hated when people are like, oh yeah, if you want these, you like, can get them for like 3 weeks, and it's like, but I got bills to pay. Like, I'm not gonna pick getting a t-shirt or a hoodie over paying my bills, you know. And I never wanted to go that route, but I am really excited. I'm also trying to work on a name for the shop. I have the placeholder. I'm like, I don't know. But yeah, that's something also I've been working on while I haven't been doing the podcast and other stuff as well. That's something I've been working on since last year. But I thank you guys for listening. This has been episode 141 of a Nerd Day Mark podcast. My name is Mark, and I'm a nerd.